This is Noah Lindsay. I'm the founder of Purpose Ministries. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 highly asked, biblical slash life slash, Christian questions, okay? The first question is going to be, what is the Trinity and how does it work? Now, yes, this is what I'm starting out with, so you're kind of seeing the tone of the video. This is going to be the first question, right? The Trinity is like a common Christian, idea, a common Christian theory, Like most Orthodox Christians and all that, they're going to believe in the Trinity. So let's just kind of go over what it is and why Christians believe it. So Matthew, let me just give you the quick, basic premise of what it is. Basically, what the Trinity is it's basically saying, so in the Bible, it talks about God, the Father, it talks about Jesus the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. Basically, what the Trinity says is God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are all one, but they're all separate at the same time. This is why it's such a confusing, topic to talk about, is because they're all three, but they're not three at the same time. They're 100% one, but 100% not. So it's just, it's all that kind of stuff. So Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit." So this verse is basically saying, they work in unison. They're all working together. John chapter 30, verse 30 says, "I and the Father are one." Now this is Jesus talking. Okay, so Jesus is saying that him and his Father, him and God, are one. So obviously they're different. They're different though, because God was in heaven and Jesus was on earth. So obviously they're different, right? But Jesus is saying that they're one. Okay, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17 says, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom." Okay, so it's saying the Lord is the Spirit. So Jesus says that he's the Lord. Jesus says that he is God. And this verse says the Spirit and God are the same, which basically is just saying that all 3 of them are all one. Okay, they're all one. So again, it's very confusing. I like the way that Mapalo explains it. He is a fellow Christian YouTuber. Let me just tell you how he explains it. So, first, he takes some, he's like, you want to find something that you can compare God to, which is obviously something you want to tread very lightly with, okay? There's like the popular one where it's like a boiled egg and the yolk, and that's not a great example. So what Mapalo does is he relates it to humans, because God created humans in his own image. He made humans in his own likeness, okay? So first, you kind of ask the question, we are one, correct? I am one. The viewers watching this, you are one, correct? Yeah, you are one. You are one being, okay? But do we have a soul? Yes, we have a soul. Do we have a spirit? Correct, we have a spirit. Do we have a body? Yes, we all have a body. But is your soul different than your spirit? Yeah, your soul is different than your spirit. Is your spirit different than your body? Of course it is. Your spirit is different than your body. Is your body different than your soul? Yeah, they're different. They're not the same. Are they all you, though? Yes, they're all you. I am my soul. I am my body, my flesh. I am my spirit. But are they all different? Yeah. My body doesn't do the same things that my soul does, and my spirit doesn't do the same things my body does. So that's, probably that's the best human example I've heard of, how the Trinity works. Now, I feel like the Trinity is one of those things that we can kind of have a grasp on, but it's not something that we're going to fully understand. Like, So that's literally the best way that I have heard it explained. And I just don't think humans are really meant to have it understood any more than that. Because, if you think about it, we don't know we practically know nothing about God. We don't know how God made the earth. It just kind of, we don't understand God at all. So the fact that God has us understand this much, we should be pretty happy about it. And we just need to trust God that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. All that jazz. Okay, so the second question of this video is, how can I hear God's voice? So this is definitely going to be a hard one, for me at least, because this is going to be a hard one for me because I just heard his voice like a couple months ago when I got called to start this ministry I'm doing. So it's a bit of a hard question, but I'm gonna try to do my best to explain it. You can I guess you can kind of take this with a grain of salt, since I'm still new to all of this. But I'm just gonna give my best example that I can. So the first step, just listen to me, okay? Just listen. The first step is to impress God, and what I mean, before I get hung. What I mean by impress God is you basically need to show God that you want it. You want to show God that you're faithful. You want to show him that you're trustful. I don't think that's the word. Trustworthy. And that you trust him. You basically just need to show God that you actually want it. You need to be in your word every single day. Every day you need to be in your word. You need to be talking to God, praying every single day. You need to be going to church every Sunday. If you have, you need to be in small group. If you are a teenager, you need to be at youth every single week. If you're a college student and they have some kind of college student or young adult ministries, you need to be going there every single week. If you're older, maybe they have, a men's breakfast or something. You need to be there every single week. Okay? You need to be showing God, hey, I'm actually truly in this. I am in this for the long run. You basically need to show God, that you're not just messing around. You're not just saying, "Oh, that'd be nice." No, you want it, and you're showing him that you actually want it. God is kind of like a person. If there was this person that's always trying to talk to me, okay? Well, maybe not always, but he's trying to talk to me, right? And then I just never listen. So then he's supposed to kind of back off a little bit. He's like, okay, well, this guy doesn't want to talk to me. And then I get upset that he stopped talking to me. Well, it's like, no, duh. Of course he's going to stop talking to you because you never even acknowledge him. Why would God keep on pursuing us and trying to talk to us if we don't even talk to him? So we just need to show God that we're actually in this, for real. We need to show him that we're here for the long run, and we need to show him how bad we want this. Okay, you just need to show God that he can trust you with a lot. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13 says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart." So the Bible here is saying what I just said. You need to give out your entire heart into this. Pour out everything you have, even if it makes you tired and exhausted because of how much you're pouring into God. God does see that. God sees your effort. You need to put everything you have, into pursuing him. The Bible clearly says, you will seek me and find me. You will find me. It's not if, it's not, maybe. No, you will find me. God is saying you will find him. but you just need to show him that you're actually looking. You know, think of God like, say you know there's a treasure there somewhere, okay? You're 100% sure in this, desert somewhere, in this, 5-acre plot of land. You know there's treasure somewhere. Now this treasure, it's not like a couple thousand, no, like it's millions, if not billions of dollars, okay? Like your life would never be the same if you find this. What are you going to do? No, you're not going to be there 10 minutes a day. You're not going to be there just kind of like wimping on and go, oh, I just want to get this over with. Let me just get just a couple shovels a day. No, you are going to probably get all of your friends involved. You're going to be talking to your neighbors. You're going to be hiring machinery because you're going to make all that money back. Like, you are going to go to extreme efforts to find this treasure chest, right? Because you know how worth it it's going to be. God is that treasure chest. You need to pretend, you need to think of God as a treasure chest that you have to go to extreme measures to find. And God's saying, if you seek me, you will find me. Like, you will find him. The issue is, or maybe not the issue, but the hard part is you just have to be patient. Just like this treasure chest example. If you try as hard as you can for one day, you probably aren't going to find it. But if you do it every single day for 2 months, you probably will. You need to be patient. You need to be doing it every single day. You can't, go a month with, like 1 or 2 days where you pour all you have into God. No, you need to be showing up every single day, no matter how hard it is. You need to be putting yourself out there every single day without ceasing. Because that's how God knows, okay, wow, this Joe guy, this Josh, this Sailor, whatever, she's actually trying to find me. He's actually trying to find me. He's not like, John over there, just, every once in a while when he feels like it, maybe he hears a good sermon and he spends a week, but then he gives up trying to find me. No, like these people, they're actually trying wholeheartedly. Because sometimes God may test your faith. There's a lot of Christians that are Christians, and you ask them, and they couldn't tell you. They're just like, oh, I was raised in the church. I like church people. They're kind of nice. They, have good barbecues. Whatever. There's a lot of Christians that don't even know why they're Christians. But you need to show your God that you are not one of them. Like, you are what a Christian is supposed to be. You are trying to find God. You're trying to heal God. You're trying to know God like no one else. And you also need to accept that even if God doesn't talk to you, you still need to know that that it's all worth it. A lot of people, they try to, get close to God for the wrong reasons. You don't want to be one of those people. You need to trust God, love God, not because of what you could get. Not because you might have a cool testimony that you could tell, that girl next door that you have a crush on. Like, you need to be doing it for the right reasons. And the best thing about this is it is hard. But when you finally are able to actually heal God, when he finally talks to you, it's worth it. I spent years trying to heal God, trying to ask God what I was meant to do in life. I spent years. Some days I do better than others. But at least at the time, I thought I was doing as much as I could. And as hard as it was, and as annoyed as I was getting, when I got called, when God actually spoke to me, it was all worth it. Like, I can assure you, no matter how long, if it takes you 60 years for God to talk to you, it is worth it still. Like, you just don't even care anymore how long it took you after God speaks to you. Like, I can't do it justice. Like, I can't explain how much it's worth it. Okay? Like, the fruits of your labor will be massive. Okay, so the last question, I realized that I may have said 5 questions. I'm actually only doing 3. I realized I may have said that at the beginning of the video. That's my bad. But the third question, the last question we're talking about today is, how can I convert my atheist friends? The age-old question. And this is a very delicate issue, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to say something that, ticks them off and then they don't want to talk to you anymore. You want to be a good influence. You still want to be friends with this person. So it is a very delicate issue, because you don't want to lose these people, especially if God has put this person on your heart to talk to be a good influence and to eventually help them in their Christian life. So you need to, first of all, you need to just be very delicate with this issue. And probably the best way I can think of to convert a Christian, to convert your atheist friend to be a Christian, is just to be like Jesus. And it sounds stereotypical, and it is, but it is the best way that at least I can think of to show a friend the truth. It's kind of like, if you guys have ever heard a song, I don't know who it was by. It may have been a King Country or something, but I'm not going to sing it because of copyright, but I think the chorus is like, they will know we are Christians by our love, They will know we are Christians by our love. This, it's just a song, but that statement is very important. We want people to know that we are Christians by our love, by how we treat people, by how we talk, how we think, the activities we do. We need to show them that we are just different. We need to show them that, we're not just like everyone else. Not that we don't want to make them think that we're better than everyone else, or that we think we're better than anyone else, because we're not, and that's the complete wrong way to do it, okay? We don't want them thinking that we're, all high and mighty about ourselves. But we just need to act like Jesus, okay? Act like Jesus as much as we can. And I'm going to be very blunt. I'm going to be very honest. It won't work at first. Nothing's going to happen at first. It may take a while. It may take weeks, months, years, decades. But eventually, especially if you're a good friend with this person, eventually they're going to be like, this Joe, he never drinks. Or, he spends his entire morning every single week on Sunday at this church thing. It's like just a small little seed, okay? It's something very, very, very small. But as the Bible indicates, something very small can become something very, very big. So we just need to start off by giving them just a little bit of something, okay? And then it'll kind of glow over time. They may not say anything about it either. You just need to trust that God's working on them, because, we don't know when this is going to happen. This may happen like a week after we meet this person, or it may happen 5 years after. But they probably aren't going to say it. They're probably not going to tell you, at least this initial. They're probably not going to go to you and be like, "Hey, wow, you're so much different." Like, chances are that's not going to happen. But we just gotta trust God to welcome them. Because at the end of the day, this is not our job. Like, sure, we're disciples, but we're just the messenger. We need to let God do the work. We just need to plant the seed and let God welcome their heart. So we just need to trust God to welcome them. Then, when the day comes, because the day will come, where they're going to ask you about Jesus. They're going to ask you, hey, Mark, why are you so different than everyone else? Why are you so nice to people? Why do you not want revenge off of that person? And why are you so nice to that person, even though they beat you up all the time or whatever? There will be a day that they will ask you, if you're acting like Jesus, or you're at least trying to become more like Jesus every day, there will be a day where this will happen. But about the worst thing that could happen is that day comes and you're not well equipped. You need to know what you're talking about. And you need to be ready for this question to come. First of all, you need to be like prayed up, right? You need to be talking to God every single day. In your prayers, every morning, every night, you need to be like, "Hey God, when that day comes, help me to be ready. Help me to know what to say. Help me to know the right thing to say to get to their heart. Speak through me when this day comes." Also, you need to make sure you know, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, you need to know why you believe in God. Because, you don't want to just believe in God just because you grew up in the church. You need to know why you believe in God, make sure you have a salvation experience, and be able to tell people why you believe in God. Like, what's your testimony? Give me your reasons why you believe in God. Because this is going to be things that this fund is going to be wondering. Because, cool, like, if God spoke to you, that's cool and all. But the issue is, to an atheist, that doesn't mean anything. Heck, some atheists think that, ghosts are flying around. Like, to an atheist, that doesn't mean anything. Like, that means absolutely nothing to an atheist. So you need to be ready to have a real answer why you believe in God. So, for example, you need to have some human reasoning. How, like an example would be, how, the insane coincidence it would be for this world to be perfectly tuned, and how if the world was slightly different, then we would all just cease to exist. Like, you need to have some scientific arguments on why God exists, and how there's obviously a creator, and how, the Bible is real, and how, the Bible, the people that wrote it are trustworthy, and how when Jesus died, he appealed, and when he rose again, he appealed to hundreds of people, and there was tons of witnesses, and all this stuff. You need to have a temple per se of layers of why you believe in God, and why an atheist could at least be like, that's a good point. I never thought, I didn't know about that. Because, as, even though to us, the most powerful things are God speaking to you, and God doing this, and God doing that, an atheist, most of the time, isn't going to buy that. So you need to have some, like, human ways of making at least an atheist at least think about it. Because you may have hundreds of conversations with this person. It may take you years. But that false conversation is going to be the most important. And then the more conversations are going to come. So if you start off with just talking about, the human reasonings, you're putting in their mind, oh wow, there was actually, at least some reason. They may not believe it, but they might be like, he actually has reasons why he believes this. And then eventually you can be like, yeah, God spoke to me. He did this, and I haven't been the same since. When I was a child, this happened to me, and then you need to build your testimony. But you just need to start off with human reasoning. And the last step is just trust God wholeheartedly. Like, you are just the messenger. You're just trying what you can, but God is the one doing all the work. He's the one walking in their hearts. You just need to get them prepared for God to speak to them. You just need to act like Jesus, do whatever you can, but just remember that God has the final say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you ever wondered if, the music you listen to is pleasing to God, then click the video on the screen now. Have a good one, guys.